Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben, and this is the Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast. Hey family, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. This is episode 9 of season 6, my US road trip part 2. In this season, I kick things off with 2 weeks in New Orleans. There, I head to a couple of competitions and spend some time hanging out with the who's who of Southern barbecue. From there, it's up to Kansas City for 4 days of barbecue nirvana at the National Barbecue and Grilling Association's annual Conference and Excellence Awards. The final 2 weeks of the journey see us head into Arkansas for some R&R, including bass fishing, monster trucks, a state cook-off association competition, an AK-47, and a brush with a tornado. And of course, you're coming with me. In this episode, I once again head to the Marriott in downtown Kansas City for the second day of the NBBQA Conference. I've got a killer lineup for you in this episode. We've got interviews with YouTube barbecue legends, gadget guys, charcoal manufacturing environmental warriors, and a rub manufacturer from California who's utterly obsessed with tri-tip, and so much more. Before we get into it, I'd like to let you know about our awesome online shop. Particularly, I want to talk to you about the Hail Mary t-shirt. Drawing inspiration from the iconic barbecue pop culture art by Gil Elfgren, the Hail Mary tee is black, like all good barbecue shirts should be, come in both men and women's cuts and in a variety of sizes. And of course, they feature Mary. She likes her barbecue smoky, spicy, and just a little bit naughty. Check her out now at smokinghotconfessions.com/shop. I'd also like to invite you to join us at the Smoking Hot Confessions community on Facebook. If you're looking for a barbecue group full of open-minded people who just love to help each other out, the Smoking Hot Confessions community is a great place to continue the conversation. Finally, however you listen to this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. It really helps me spread that barbecue love. So without further ado, grab yourself a truffle-loaded 70-30 blended burger topped with bacon jam and something cold and bubbly, and join me for another day of juicy barbecue know-how at day 2 of the NBBQA Conference.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
If there's one name that's synonymous with the Aussie outdoors, it's gotta be Ozpig. The Ozpig is a fire pit, a stove, a grill, a barbecue, and with the latest attachments, it's a smoker now too. And with the seemingly endless array of accessories including a rotisserie, there is almost no limits to what you can do with an Ozpig. A family-owned and run business, the Ozpig was designed for one purpose: for families to be able to enjoy divine food while enjoying the great outdoors together. With a solid compact design weighing just 17 kilos and packing into its own carry case, the Ozpig is the perfect companion for your next camping, fishing or caravan trip, or even just enjoying a slice of the Aussie lifestyle in your own backyard. To get an Ozpig of your very own, check out ozpig.com.au. That's ozpig.com.au. Hey folks, Ben for Smoking Hot Confessions here. It's day 2 of the NBBQA Conference. We're kicking things off. It's a little bit overcast, a little bit hazy. It was sort of real foggy this morning when I got up, or maybe that was just me after the awards last night.
It was foggy.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. But with me right now, I've got Ryan from
The Smoke Sheet.
The Smoke Sheet. Barbecue Tourist. That was the one I couldn't get my mind around. And Sean from NYC Barbecue. And together they do the Smoke Sheet, which is well, I'll let them tell about it.
The Smoke Sheet is a weekly newsletter that's all about barbecue, the world of barbecue. We have events. We have all the latest news. We have media such as like a book, a video, or a podcast every week. And we also feature all the biggest, best barbecue events and a recipe of the week. So anything and everything about the world of barbecue.
Yeah, it's awesome. If you haven't signed up for it yet, you really should. I've been on there since almost the start of it, and I love it because when they publish is in the middle of the night for me, so I get to wake up in the morning, first thing, there it is in my email, and I get to catch up on what's been happening in the world of barbecue first thing in the morning. So it's really cool. And Matt, can you tell us how it came about?
Yeah, I've been writing about barbecue in the Northeast for about 4 years. And I, constantly been, tracking and looking around barbecue in the national scene and even the global scene. And like, where can I find all this information in one place? Because I don't find any one particular outlet doing a good job. I mean, there's a lot of great Texas barbecue writing, and there's a lot of very specific regional writing. But I was like, where can I find it all in one place? And I couldn't find anything that really fell in that specific category. And so we were like, why don't we create this? And I actually met Ryan in line in Snows in Texas, actually.
Oh, wow.
Which, Snows is, by Texas Monthly's rankings, the #1 in the world. And is like, how appropriate is it that, NYC BBQ and BBQ Tourist, also both from Kansas City, both went to the same college, but just did different years, that we meet in line at Snows, and then wanting to also work on this barbecue publication together. And we've been doing it for 6 months, and it's been going really great. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be picking up and gaining popularity. Now, you've both got individual brands as well as the smoke sheet, which is what I was stumbling over at the start of the at the start of the interview, which I do apologise for.
That's okay.
Tell us about NYC BBQ.
Yeah, I basically started it as a hobby, just trying to document all the best barbecue in the Northeast, and especially in New York City limits. And it's just grown over the last 4 years. And, I've gotten to be a better barbecue writer, a better barbecue photographer. It's a real evolution from being a hobby to being a little bit more of a business, and really having a, really close eye on what's happening in the scene and writing every week about what's happening.
So it's a blog-based thing then? It's a
blog,
website?
it's a newsletter and social media. And, honestly, I just started, even today, announced my first curated event. So I'm actually helping on the event side to pick some of the best people that can be at some of these events, and actually, what's going to make a really impactful, amazing event.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are you able to tell us that event, or is it? Is it yet to be released?
The announcement went out today. So okay. Rib King NYC 2019. So basically, beef and pork ribs are going to be the star of the show. So sorry, vegetarians, there won't be a ton of veggie items for you, but
I doubt they're watching this video anyway.
It's called Rib King. So you know pretty much what you're getting into.
Yeah.
But it'll be very fun. We'll have a people's choice, and we'll have a judge's choice. And it's just going to be a blast.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. That sounds amazing. And Barbecue Tourist, tell me what's up with that.
Barbecue Tourist, I started that because I love to travel. So it is a nationwide thing where basically it's geared towards people who like food and travel and barbecue. I started out basically making interactive web maps that show people where the best barbecue joints were all over the country.
Wow.
So my site has a lot of that, and it also includes some recommendations, lots of my favorite places that I've traveled to all across the country. I take a barbecue road trip at least once a month. It seems like it's maybe a couple of times a month now even. So I'm always on the road hitting places, and I like to share that information with people. Also, a lot of stuff with events as well. So,
and how does your family handle that much time on the road?
They like to travel as well, and sometimes it's nice for me to go solo. Sometimes they join me. So, and we're also fortunate that we have family across the country, and a lot of our family is in places that have great barbecue. So we're really lucky.
I like how that works out.
Yeah. Also, my little 5-year-old son loves Texas, so that's really helpful as well. We get to go down to Texas whenever he wants to, and we can have a blast down there with the barbecue.
It's all cowboys and guns. What's not to love?
Yeah, exactly.
So if I was to ask you what would be your 3 favorite barbecue places that you've been to, what would they be?
Oh my gosh, 3 barbecue places. My favorites would be, we really liked Payne's in Memphis. It just was the coolest experience it was a very unassuming, simple place. We went in there kind of thinking we would just go in and go out, and it ended up being a fantastic experience. It was just some of the best pork I've ever had in my life. Really, really enjoyed Skylight Inn in North Carolina. That was just an awesome experience, and seeing the whole hogs there. Amazing food, very simple. And then, of course, Snows. Snows was just an amazing experience where you got to meet people in line. You're standing out there. You're creating friendships, lifelong friendships, and then at the end you get to taste fantastic food and meet Tootsie and Snow. It was awesome.
Yeah, I haven't made it to Snows yet, but that's definitely on my list. Yeah.
It should be top.
And how about you? Your top three?
I guess Snows would be on my top three as well, but I'll try to give you three more so you get a little more diversity. In New York City, of course, I have to kind of rep New York City, but Hometown Barbecue in Red Hook, Brooklyn is as good as everyone tells you. It could be, if it was based in Texas, it could be it would be probably on the top 50 list.
Oh wow,
it's that good, and so I think people are consistently surprised by the quality and consistency and the atmosphere. But if you do go early, just like you would in Texas. Go early, get in line. It's very important. I want to give a shout out to a Kansas City joint called Jazzy Bees. Now, the thing about Jazzy Bees, it's incredibly also unassuming. I think I like a balance of things that are kind of you have to do the line and you have to do this, and then also the kind of surprise. And when you get surprised and you go, whoa, this is really amazing, I'm really impressed, and I didn't have any idea this was going to happen. Jazzy Bees falls in that. And thank you to Ryan for pointing me. He's like, you've got to go to Jazzy Bees. So definitely. In Kansas City, that one will surprise a lot of people. And then I don't know why it just immediately came to my head, but probably because it's everyone's done it, is Franklin Barbecue, because I actually did do 4 hours in line. I didn't, there's a pre-ordering thing where you can pre-order and get your food or whatever, but I did brave the line. I got there before 9 a.m. I was served around 1. I got to try everything I wanted to try, and I think the experience of waiting in a line for 4 hours with a bunch of hungry enthusiasts is kind of special, and that's another reason why Snows is such an amazing kind of experience, because it's only Saturday morning that you can go, and that's it. Saturday morning, and you're there. You're eating barbecue for breakfast, basically. It's just a communal experience that's unlike any other. So, yeah.
Listening to those three suggestions from both of you, it sounds like, and just because I just came out of a session where this guy was talking about this, is that the experience is as important, if not more important, than the actual food itself. Mm-hmm. Because you've both just talked about the experience of each of those three places. Mm-hmm. And I don't think either of you really just said the name of the place and then the food was amazing. You talked more about the experience than you did about the food.
I was something like Payne's, for example, though, is not like a big glossy experience. It is the most low-key experience. And then in a way, that's kind of surprising because the food is so good that you'd think that they would put on a little bit of a show. And they're like, we're good. We're just hanging out in the back and just doing our thing. We're taking photos, and they don't care. They're just like, do whatever you want. It's fine. Can we take a photo of the pit? Sure, come back, take a photo of the pit. Fine. Which is kind of in itself is kind of just the generosity of it is so nice, and is also unassuming. It's so pleasant. So I don't know. We just really like going to these places where you can be surprised.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds good. It's always better to have a good surprise than a bad surprise. I hate going to a restaurant and paying a ton of money for going to the restaurant for the first time, paying a ton of money for something and coming away going, yeah.
I think you've actually had a few of those, right? I mean, I usually steer clear of them, but because you've been to more barbecue places than I have, you've actually had a chance to go to places where you didn't actually have that experience, that it was paying a lot of money and being like, nah.
Yeah, and I won't name names.
You don't have to.
I was going to say, let's not get into that, because I don't have a lawyer on retainer, so we don't.
That's part of being, he's been to more barbecue places than I have, so I'm now his hype man apparently. So yes.
The other thing to suggest though is that every experience is totally unique. You may go to a place that gets all these accolades and not have a great experience, and it may just be a bad day. It may be an off day. You have to keep that in mind too. I never go to a place and come away completely devastated and disappointed. Usually it's just underwhelming, and I'm thinking maybe they're having an off day or something like that. So Most of the places have been fantastic experiences. And the barbecue community is amazing. Everybody, pitmasters, the staff, the enthusiasts, everybody is on the same team. And so that's been the best part of this whole journey, is meeting the people. The food is like a bonus, but the people are amazing.
There you go. So in the world of barbecue, the food is a bonus. You heard it here first. All right. So if you want to keep up to date on all things barbecue happening around America and the rest of the world, you've got Ryan with Barbecue Tourist. You got Sean with NYC Barbecue, and together they make the Smoke Sheet. Where can they find the Smoke Sheet? You can sign up for the Smoke Sheet at bbqnewsletter.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter as well. So yeah. That's a perfect domain name. Very, very SEO savvy.
I'm glad that I picked that up a long time ago. It's something I'd been thinking about for a long time, bought it, and then I've just had it for a very long time. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, closing thoughts.
Well, we've had a pretty good time so far at the conference. It's great, the opportunity to meet people, and you really do get to see how the community shines, right? The opportunity to really just meet and really, fantastic people across the country, across the world. And I mean, we've just been thrilled to be part of it, and we're just happy to be part of this experience.
Look forward to seeing everybody out on the barbecue trail.
Fantastic. There you go. So go to bbqnewsletter.com, sign up for the Smoke Sheet. You'll get all this barbecue goodness in your email inbox once a week, every week. Beautiful. Hey folks, it's Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here. We're at day 2 of the NBBQA Conference. I'm having a great time. Michael from Flame Boss, how are you?
I'm having a great time too. This is an opportunity to meet with some very interesting and just kind people.
I'm amazed by the degree of passion that I'm experiencing about barbecue here at this conference. And I guess if you think about it, that's exactly what you would expect, because only the most passionate are going to come to an industry body conference like this.
I think so, and it is amazing, and it's hard to peel yourself away from them.
Yeah,
because you experience that passion, and it's joyful.
And it's infectious, don't you find? My brain is just pinging with so many new ideas of things I could do. And
I wanted to go start cooking, lunch at breakfast time this morning when I'm sitting with Mark Lambert, talking to him about something he had cooked. I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah, he's a good guy. We met him at Houston last year, 2018. And he invited us into the OBR tent, and we had dinner with him and Stan and Joey Machado. And Mike Lambert just sat there and just talked to my kid all night, my little 6-year-old boy, and he was just like hanging out and having a great time.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I want to know about Flame Boss. Tell me about Flame Boss.
Well, we make a digital temperature controller for charcoal smokers. We make them from everything from a Weber Smoky Mountain up to big cabinet smokers. A lot of our users have Big Green Eggs or other Kamado-style grills. So it uses a small blower and a variable speed blower and a controller that precisely puts the amount of air in there to keep it at whatever temperature you've set it at. We actually have a patent on the temperature control method, and you can keep your charcoal fire at a more even temperature than most people's ovens at home.
Wow, more consistent than an electric oven.
Correct.
That's incredible. So tell me a bit about the homework that went into designing it all, because I understand there's a lot of work's got to go into the algorithms for calculating ramping and things. Is that right?
There is, and I wish I could tell you a lot about it. My brother is the genius behind it.
Where's he then?
We don't let him outside. No, he doesn't see light. He's like a mushroom. No, I'm just kidding. He's a great guy, but he's at home. Back at the office, still making the product better, and he did do a lot. He studied the issues with the temperature control that was out there, and he felt like there was a way to make it better. And also, I think the other thing he had almost as much passion about as making the temperature control better was making the product easier to use. And so we still are today working on improvements for that, but it is a passion that we have, is to make electronic device easier to use.
That is a big issue in the industry. Now, I'm quite tech savvy, as you probably can see, And I often find these temperature controller things. I haven't used a Flame Boss, so I'm not talking about Flame Boss. I have used other ones that have been quite difficult to use. And one of the issues I've had has been connectivity. So how does Flame Boss connect to things?
Connectivity is always going to have a potential for problem, because even myself, I went to a Ace Hardware trade show last week, and I was trying to do demos and show people how to use it. And damn, if they didn't have some kind of cyber security in their building at the convention center, where we couldn't use an access point, which is the way we design our device to connect to your phone in the setup portion.
Are they worried about industrial espionage at a trade show? Someone's going to come and film other people's stuff, and so they black out the internet?
Well, apparently, again, I had to ask my brother, well, why would they block that? It seems like, there's a lot of devices that use it. And he said that it is a way that people spoof a Wi-Fi network that's available to users. Like in a hotel or in a convention center, there's almost always some free form of, or an airport, there's some free form of Wi-Fi. Well, if you create a hotspot on your phone and you pretend you're one of those, and you know how to do it, you can sniff the traffic going back and forth. So I guess there is some legitimate reason to try and secure it.
I'm never going to log into free airport Wi-Fi ever again.
So it's don't log into your bank account as soon as you do.
Yeah, wow.
But and I didn't even know you could block it, but apparently you can. So there is always going to be some opportunity. But one thing that we've done is we try to put all the instructions for connecting it on the app when you need them, and we actually, I don't want to say copied it, but we learned a little bit from connecting our own Amazon Alexa devices. So we said, those work pretty easily, and let's try to make ours work just as easy as that. So you don't give someone a lengthy instructions that you just say, do this now, and then you go do it, and then the app realizes you've got it done, and it gives you the next instruction. So we've done everything we can to try and make it easier, and then we still get feedback on problems that people are still having, and we work on trying to eliminate those.
Yeah, sure. So it's a web-based connection then? It's Wi-Fi, or is it Bluetooth,
it is
or both?
Wi-Fi. So once you hook it up to a Wi-Fi wireless network, you can go anywhere and control it. So you hook your device up to that, you can go anywhere with your smartphone or tablet and
that's
have
what I
access
like.
to it.
I do
it
like that.
the whole cook, so you can see the history. You can get up in the morning and see what it did during the night.
That's fantastic, because I know for myself, I'm one of these guys that I light the charcoal, I get the thing started, and then I go, I've got no more charcoal. So then I've got to run down to the hardware store, get some more charcoal, come back again. So that sort of thing really helps me out.
You could even go to work. You could start a pork butt before you leave for work in the morning and watch it all day. And if it's done, you can actually set it to automatically turn it down to just a warmer. So your pit will drop. When your meat reaches a preset temperature, it'll drop. Or you can just get a notice that your meat is ready to be wrapped or something like that. We'll send a text to your phone.
Wow, that's cool.
So your charcoal grill can text you.
Great. The Internet of Things, I think they call it.
It is.
Yeah. So how long did this sort of take to develop from like concept to storefront?
Well, it was probably about a year from concept to launch. But
that quick? Wow.
But the improvement's been continual since.
Of course, yeah.
It was a little more than that before we actually launched the Wi-Fi ones that we have today. The first product that we launched in 2014 was not Wi-Fi enabled. So it looked a lot like the ones we have today, but you had to push buttons and go outside and look at it. And in the Florida humidity, no one really wants to go outside. So.
I'm from the Gold Coast of Australia, so I understand that we run at about 80-85% humidity all year round.
That's us in Florida.
Yeah.
I have visited the Gold Coast, beautiful place, but I did feel right at home. It felt just as hot and humid.
Yeah, lovely. So what do you got coming up in the future? What's next for Flame Boss?
Well, I don't think I want to let all the cats out of the bag here. But
trade secrets.
Yeah, we would like to try to keep a little bit back, but I think that the one thing I can say for sure is we will continue to improve the product. We're looking for ways to make it easier to use and offer more fulfilling things for users.
Excellent. I'd love to hear that.
And more product fitment. For us, we don't make grills or smokers. We only make a temperature control for them. So we'll look for ways to make our product work with more grills.
Excellent. So increase the width of application, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. Now, is it available internationally or just in America, or what? How does it work?
We do have international distribution, but it is of course much stronger in the U.S. We have a lot more dealers here. It's easier to find, but we're trying to add more international dealers all the time. Last year, it was actually our international growth was higher than our U.S. growth.
Wow. There you go. That's got to make you feel pretty good.
We need to get some in the dealer in the Gold Coast. Maybe you can help me.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I got a couple of contacts. We can work something out.
Okay.
So if they want to track you down, how do they track you down? Social medias, websites, that sort of stuff.
Easy. Flameboss.com. There's a contact us page. A link on the page. Social media. We respond to all. Any way you want to contact us, we're there.
So just search for Flame Boss on Facebook, search Flame Boss Instagram,
yes.
Twitter.
Correct.
Excellent. Sounds good. Well, mate, it's been good to meet you. Thanks very much for telling me all about Flame Boss.
The time. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah. Excellent. Good.
I love the accent.
Thank you.
This is Chris from Pits and Giggles, and you're listening to Smoking Hot Confessions.
Founded in 2016, the family-owned Fired Up BBQ is the barbecue caterer you've been looking for. This is American-style barbecue at its best. All meats are smoked in a traditional wood-fired offset smoker. This ensures only the most authentic barbecue experience for your festival, wedding, birthday party, or corporate event. With one of the most impressive trailer smokers on the road today, Bob and his team are based in Sydney but have been spotted as far afield as the Gold Coast, Melbourne, or even Adelaide. In fact, their barbecue was hugely popular at both Sydney and Melbourne meat stocks. In addition to private catering, Bob also offers a barbecue school. This great fun half-day course is suitable for beginners through to intermediate level barbecuers and includes an all-you-can-eat barbecue lunch. It is perfect for corporate team building events or as a special gift for that special someone. To find out more and book Fired Up Barbecue for your next event, head on over to firedupbbq.com.au. That's firedupbbq.com.au. Hey folks, it's Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here. We're at day 2 at NBBQA Conference, and I've got with me here Jonathan from Rockwood Charcoal. Mate, how are you enjoying the conference?
It's a great time. A lot of good people here, meeting all kinds of people.
What's been the highlight for you so far?
So far, the food. The food's been really good this year. That's been great. But moreover, the people. It's just it's a gathering of everybody, and it's not the average trade show that I go to where you sit in your 10x10 booth and wait for people to come by, and then you have to sell them. Everybody already knows kind of who everybody else is, and it's a very informal atmosphere, which is a lot better. And it's just great, just rolling around and just talking to everybody.
Yeah, I completely understand what you mean. I'm loving all the networking opportunities. I find that I come away from these conversations and my brain is just pinging with different ideas of new things to try.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just people are standing there talking to me, and then I see they're asking me a question about something, and I don't know the answer, or I know somebody that does, and I look across the room, and there's somebody, I yell, hey, come over, yell at somebody, introduce them together, and all of a sudden somebody else walks up, they introduce them to me. Networking, what you said, fantastic.
Yeah, beautiful. So whereabouts are you based? How far have you traveled to be here?
Oh, just a couple hours. We're just down the street, basically, in St. Louis. Yeah,
right.
It's about a 4-hour drive, yeah, if that.
Right, nice. So how do you find the barbecue different in St. Louis to Kansas City?
Well, I won't say this too loudly since I'm in Kansas City right now, but I don't like Kansas City barbecue. There
you go.
It's being from St. Louis. It's very different over where we are. Not very different, but different enough that different smokes over here. It's more about rubs, and you don't cook the sauce onto the meat. It's a more of a hickory smoke. It's more of a sweeter sauce, a smoky sauce, and ours is more of a tomato-based sauce. It's just it's different. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's just it's a lot different. It's not what I'm used to. It's not what I cook at home.
Fair enough.
But,
all right.
Anywhere you go, it's always going to be different. But it's fun to come over here and try all the different ones. Went to Q39. I think it was on Tuesday night. That was fantastic.
I've heard good things about that.
Yeah,
place.
that was really good. We went to Slaps on Wednesday, just a couple
So
blocks.
good.
That was fantastic. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, for Kansas City barbecue, of course.
Oh.
No, it was delicious. It was.
So tell me about Rockwood charcoal.
Rockwood was the accidental success. Actually, it was something that I never really.
Accidental success. I like that.
It was nothing I ever set up to be a successful company. It was a way for me to write off barbecue expenses. I was a helicopter pilot, making plenty of money and with a good career, but I was bored. And while I'm sitting there waiting for the phone to ring all the time at our ambulance base, I thought I'll sit here and I'll make money while I'm making money already. So I got into real estate. I got into teaching firearms classes. I got into all this other stuff. And the charcoal was just kind of something fun on the side I was doing in order to meet people to sell real estate and guns and other things too. And then all of a sudden, the charcoal started going faster than everything else. I had an opportunity to get into commercial, start selling to stores. I hired a company that created a brand. Again, not really planning for it to leave St. Louis. And every year, doubled. I quit my job as a pilot 4.5 years ago. And now it's available in almost 10,000 locations in all 50 states, yes.
Nationwide.
Nationwide, yeah. It's on the shelf. It's hard to tell at any given time because people cycle it in and out based off the season. But it's probably on the shelf in about at least 3,000 stores that we know of at this very moment. And then, but it's available within 2 to 3 days at most of these stores because they just order it in through their warehouse. And then we've also got it online. We ship out a ton of it online and through Amazon. For those of you watching, don't buy it through Amazon, please. Just go to our website or order it through your local dealer. If you buy it on Amazon, you're paying way too much money. So, yeah, it's going really well.
And I actually ordered a barbecue through Amazon 2 weeks ago, and somebody nicked it from behind the security fence of the place I was renting. So, yeah. I'm not impressed with my experience.
The porch pirates, they call them, yeah.
Oh, the porch pirates. Okay, there you go, yeah. When I actually rang Amazon, they gave me 3 different reasons as to why my package wasn't there. First of all, they said it was delivered. Then they said that the driver had rescanned it, so it was going to go out for delivery the next day. And then they said that it had been delivered to the wrong address.
Yeah, I can see it. Our boxes are big, 66 pounds, and very hard to move, so... I haven't heard
no one's stealing that then.
I haven't heard anybody stealing that yet, although we did have pallets, empty pallets stolen from our warehouse. I never knew that was a thing, but people steal empty pallets. It's a big racket.
It's those damn hipsters. They're stealing these bloody pallets, breaking them down and building furniture and then putting them on eBay.
I assume so. I couldn't believe it, but yeah.
So what kind of woods do you use then to turn into the charcoal?
So on our bag, we're big on promoting that we are 100% Missouri product. Everything in that bag is from Missouri. And not a lot of people know it, but about 80% of the domestic lump charcoal here in the United States is made in Missouri. And it's because we have the largest wood industry. And so all the furniture, flooring, cabinets, things like that, it's all comes from Missouri. All the wine barrels for, it's good wood, so all the wine barrels for Napa Valley, Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, that all comes from Missouri as well. Wow. The Missouri oak. So all the pieces that are too knotty, too warped, have something wrong with the defect of the pieces on the outside, whatever. That all gets all bundled up and it goes to charcoal plants or it gets sent out for chips for playgrounds, things like that. So we don't take down a single tree for charcoal. We couldn't afford to anyway, but so you get the wood and it's all basically. I don't like using the word waste wood because waste indicates that it's below standard. It's not. It's still good wood. So, but it's primarily oak. I mean, it can be oak, hickory, maple, pecan, cherry are kind of the big ones that are used in that industry. Most of what we get is oak. No walnut. That's the only walnut, the only hardwood, Missouri hardwood that we won't touch is walnut. One, because there's a lot of other uses for it. It's in very high demand right now because of some of the there's a bug that's killing a lot of the walnut trees, and it's going to be better purposed in bowls, gun stocks, other things like that.
Oh wow!
But the big thing is that it kilns at a different weight because it's just so heavy and dense. So it's better that we don't have that in the bag because of that. So I'd say about 80% oak and then whatever. But with the rate that we carbonize it at, to that higher carbonization, you're not going to tell. I mean, you're not going to be able to tell that this was hickory, this was oak, because we've cooked out everything in it that would produce smoke.
Interesting. So the actual, like the individual lumps inside one bag could be a mix of different species. Correct,
yes. And it's, no one out there has 100% oak or hickory or whatever, because we're all getting the wood from the wood mills. We're not out taking trees down, unless you're down in South America somewhere where they just go out and clear cut everything in their path because they don't have anybody to regulate them doing it. So here, no, it's always going to be a mix. But if you're properly turning it into charcoal, then you're not going to be able to tell the difference, because the whole purpose of turning it into charcoal is to cook out the tars and the liquors and the wood. Anything that produces the smoke and it still has water in it, moisture, and produces the ash, that's what you're trying to get out of it. So the good way to tell if you've got good charcoal or not is take it out of the bag and try to break it apart by hand. If you cannot break it apart by hand, it's not charcoal. It's still wood. And people get all excited now about these great big chunks of charcoal the size of a basketball or a soccer ball. And they take pictures of it holding it by their head. It's not charcoal. It's still wood. There's a reason why that thing is that big still and that dense and that heavy, because it's full of wood fiber and water. So, people come to, can I get them in bigger, can I get your charcoal in bigger chunks? No, because if it's in a big chunk, it's not charcoal. But I can sell you a burned piece of firewood if you want, and we'll call it, I can charge you just as much for it. No, we really set out to get that charcoal up to, really charcoal, to 80 to 85% carbonization. We get all the tars and liquors out of there so that we're selling you a bag of carbon, as close as we can get it to carbon. Any higher than that, any higher than 80, 85%, and it's just going to break apart like dust. So that's about the only complaints we really get, is the size of the charcoal. The good news is like other things in life, size doesn't matter. So
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Been running that line for years.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't. E equals MC squared. I mean, all the BTU of our charcoal is about 11,700 BTU per pound, and it doesn't matter if it's a big chunk, a little chunk. Airflow is a big deal, but if you're using it in a charcoal cooker, a big green egg, or anything else where you can meter the oxygen, control the flow of oxygen to it, it can't burn faster. A little piece will not burn any faster than a big piece because you're controlling the oxygen. That part of the fire triangle is the one you're regulating. The difference is, though, if you're using something like a PK grill or open air kind of park grill or anything that has an unregulated source of oxygen, an unmeterable source of oxygen to it, then yeah, it's going to burn like wildfire. And what you got to do is you just got to use less of it. So and add it. So it does become that is the only bad part of it. And producing charcoal that's high in a carbon content just makes it very brittle. So it's like a bag of Lay's potato chips. We can wrap that thing in as much bubble wrap as you want, but merely taking it from one point of the room to the other, it's going to break down a little bit just by the agitation.
Mm. Yeah. So I'm curious about the carbonization. No, carbonization.
Carbonization.
Carbonation is beer, and I love that too, but that's another conversation. Carbonization. I'm curious about the carbonization process. Can you tell me a bit about how you guys do it at Rockwood?
So it goes into, it kind of looks like a munitions depot or a Quonset hut. It's a 20 by 40 kiln. It's a foot thick concrete lined with refractory, and they take the bundles of the wood. The wood comes in great big bundles on the back of semi trucks, and it ages for usually about at least 3 months or so to help dry it out to acclimate it and get as much water out as possible before they put it in the kiln. Stuff that kiln full of it, light it off, and it'll burn anywhere from a day to a day and a half or so, reach temperatures of 1,500 degrees. The outside of the kiln is too hot to touch.
Wow.
You just see the heat just radiating off it. It's a miserable process down there for those guys. I'm glad I'm up in St. Louis in the warehouse. So, so there, yeah, it'll burn in there, and then it takes anywhere between 5 to 10 days to cool for the fire to drop off. And I won't go too deep into it, but the process of it it's very, it's the same as it was 100, 200 years ago when they were making it. The only thing that's different now is basically capturing all of the emissions off the top of the kiln, all the white smoke.
Of course,
and then taking that white smoke into an afterburner, firing that with propane to burn the particulate out of the smoke so that it burns clear off the top. Any white smoke coming off a kiln in the state of Missouri is a big fine. It's $5,000 or $10,000 a day for white.
Per day?
Per kiln per day, yes. for white smoke off a kiln. So that is something that's very highly regulated everywhere in the U.S. So that's just Missouri's rules. But so everything that's going in there is a recycled product, and then what we're putting out in the air is clear as can be. It's not polluting anything. Then all the byproduct after that. So after it cools down, they go in with the loaders, they pull it out of there, and they bounce it down a conveyor belt. And the conveyor belt, all the fines fall through at 3/4 inch minus. So those fines have a very good use. Sometimes people get a bag and there's a lot of fines in the bottom, and they say, you put that in there because it's cheap. No, the fines get sold. There's money in those. So the only reason they had fines in the bottom was that bag got beat up and it's dirty to you. Those fines are sold for briquetting, which we try not to sell. I'd rather not sell it to them, but sell it to agricultural use. And fines get mixed in with the soil. Carbon amendments for soil is a fantastic opportunity in this country. They used a lot in other countries. It really hasn't caught on in the U.S. yet because of all the lobbying from fertilizer companies and things like that. So we don't push it too hard because I don't want to, end up in a ditch somewhere. By pushing a product,
the fertilizer mafia. There you go.
So it's an amazing product. I highly recommend that if you don't want to burn those fines in the bottom of your bag, do not throw them away. Put them in your garden, especially tomatoes, or sprinkle them on your lawn. It's a fantastic soil amendment. We gave a big grant to the University of Missouri about 4 or 5 years ago, $10,000, and a lot of truckload of those fines, and the results of it were phenomenal. The problem is it's kind of like peddling snake oil. Nobody really believes you when you show them this data, and it's coming now.
But if you're running soil that's acidic, then the carbon would neutralize the acidic nature of the soil, wouldn't it?
Yes, and we did it in all of Missouri, the different loams of soil here, the rocky, the clay, and the sandy soils, in order not just for pH, but to also put the carbon back into the soil, because every time you pull that plant out of there, it was carbon that was holding that plant up. You and me, at the end of the day, we're nothing but carbon. So we're putting that carbon back into the soil, and the plants just love to use that carbon. But also, it provides what's kind of a word I use, a micro reef, basically, for all the little critters that live down there in the soil. Carbon is extremely, extremely porous. So what happens was, when we had it, it was a tree. If you look at it, it kind of looks like a sponge under a microscope. All the tars and liquors, the xylem and phloem, if you remember your high school biology, that's what's in all those little pores. So as the burning process happens, all those alcohols and everything in there, those tars and liquors, they burn at a much lower temperature than the carbon does. So we basically melt or burn all of that stuff out of there, and it exposes all those pores. That's all the oxygen that the oxygen can get to the carbon. That's why lump charcoal just burns so hot and wild, especially once it gets going, because it's accessing all those little pores. There's so much surface area on the inside.
Interesting.
So when you put it in the soil, that's where all those little critters move into. And the powder basically almost provides like a lubricant for the soil, like a graphite that you can just sit there and aerate the soil by hand. But the little nuggets and everything, that's where these little critters move into, and the earthworms go in there and they eat them, and it's just a whole ecosystem that's going on down there, and that's what spurs a lot of good soil practices and other things. So again, I don't understand it. We've got people that do, and they can explain it. But it's an amazing product. It's amazing. I just know that from dumping it in our own garden at home and on the yard, that just what it's done.
Yeah, that's just amazing information, and I love that you're not only sort of taking a recycled product to make carbon, but then the trimmings or what have you from the findings from the carbon then are able to be recycled again right back to the very start of the chain of growing the tree. Correct. To make the carbon.
So with what we're burning off and putting in the atmosphere from the charcoal itself, the lump, we're putting back into the ground. And so I don't know if we'll necessarily ever be carbon neutral, but
that's pretty close.
We're getting back. We're trying to get back to that point by not burning those fines and putting them back into the ground.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it's neat. It's fun.
Yeah. So where can people track down Rockwood?
Best place to look is on our website, and that'll direct you to the nearest retailer. Usually any Ace Hardware that's out there. We're starting to come up in more true values. Usually the mom and pop fireplace, hearth, barbecue stores. We're in a lot of those. We're in a lot of butcher shops, the finer stores. Around St. Louis, we're everywhere. I mean, we're in convenience stores, in some cases, liquor stores. We're everywhere. The People's Charcoal, and that takes place in some other cities too. But mainly, the biggest place, the sure to be guaranteed where you're going to find it now is Ace Hardware. And if it's not on the shelf, what you can do is you can just have them order it, and they'll have it in 2 to 3 days. But our website, if you just go on rockwoodcharcoal.com, just click on Buy, and it'll give you the options of where to look and where to search. Call them up. At last resort, if you don't have somewhere local to buy it, you can order it on our website. It's about $85 for 3 bags. That's the best way for us to do it. The shipping wise is a box of 3 bags, and that's going to be the lowest price per bag. We'll ship it to you. Hopefully the UPS is nice to it. If it's not, I apologize, but there's not any. Buy it local. It'll show up in better condition if it rides on a pallet rather than rides in a box.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. Look, thanks so much for your time. Yeah. The sessions are changing in the rooms here, so people are about to start running around us here. So I'm going to say thanks very much. Thanks for being
so
part of the
God
show.
Bless you. It was a great time.
Yeah, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
I will. Look forward to seeing you later.
Thanks. Hey folks, Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here. I want to kick this interview off by giving mad props to Joey from B&B Charcoal. We just recorded like 25 minutes of just beautiful interview, only to find out that the phone had been hit with an Amber Alert 21 seconds into the recording and it shut the phone down. And
it's all good.
He's very graciously letting me do all this again. So mate, thank you very much.
Yeah,
perfect. And how have you been enjoying the NBBQA conference?
Now, we love the NBBQA conference. This is my 4th year, I believe. This year, you know, we attend. We're a sponsor. We're I'm a board member, and this is just one of those things. When I first came on board with B&B Charcoal, this was the very first event that we ever did, and I really believe that this is a big key to the success that we've had because of the relationships we've been able to build through this, and again, like I said, this whole organization is really built on friendships and, you know, being able to network within this industry. And it doesn't matter if you're a novice, if you have a catering truck, if you've got a brick and mortar barbecue place, you're making seasonings or sauces or whatever. This industry, you know, they all need the input from everyone. And if you're starting off, especially, this is the place to be. They can save you so much money, so much time, because everyone who's a member here has been where you were at one point, and they can really help you in your decision making, or, you know, being able to give you some options that maybe you don't even know about.
One of the things that I noticed just walking around and just sort of people watching is that if someone doesn't know the answer to your question,
right,
they know who does.
Correct.
And they will grab you and take you to that person.
Correct.
And explain the situation, and solved.
Exactly. And you know, and that's what it's all about, you know. And even today, like, you know, we have an opportunity to speak to members, but we also have an opportunity to showcase our wares, whatever we do, and then we also have, because they have this SCA deal tonight, which would be the steak cook-off tonight. You know, we have an opportunity to share. I'm from Texas. We're in Kansas. You know, we've got guys who have traveled in from, you know, other states. We do have a few guys from Texas here, but we've got here guys from Memphis, and we've got guys from Washington State, and we've got guys from, you know, all over. And traditionally, when we go do SCAs, we're doing it very regional to us, as well as them. So tonight it could be anybody's game, but it also gives us an opportunity to take a look and see what they're doing over there. And believe it or not, everyone's really they're so willing to give you information. It's unreal, you know. But again, like I said, this is a knowledge. I mean, what do you call it? I mean, it's a knowledge pool, and you have the opportunity to come and get the exact pinpoint piece of information that you want. You have the idea, you know, some idea you want to just bounce off of somebody to see what they think. This is the place to do it. It's a think tank, you know, for barbecue. And again, like I said, these guys are so willing to share their successes, their failures, their, you know, man, I wish I would have done it differently. You know, in today's day and age, because of social media is such a big part of it today, you know that extremely well, that, you know, if we don't have this social media aspect to it, you can't grow. It's almost impossible. So as we kind of continue on, you know, and we're a couple days into this. I've actually been here for like 3 days. You know, we're on the official 2-day or the second day event of this, and we had the Culinary Fight Club was the very first night
That was very cool.
And that was something new for this event. Now it's very, very, you know, they have those up in the Chicago area quite a bit. But like I said, it was so cool because we had Jason Bauer, you know, he's from the Seattle area, you know, going against some guys who do this, you know, once a month, you know, and he was able to come in here and pull it off, you know. But again, like I said, you know, everyone here is very competitive, you know, and whether you're a competitive cook or, you know, competitive in business or something, this is a group of winners, and it's kind of crazy because, like I said, normally when you're in there, everyone really holds everything so close to their chest and doesn't want to share a lot of that information. But here you'll see so many people are proud of their accomplishments, and they want to share that information because they want other people to be successful as well.
Yeah. I got a buddy, Dan from Country Boys in Australia. You know Dan? You met Dan?
I think so. Yeah.
He always says he's very open about what he does and how he does it, because, as he says, I can show you everything that I do.
Correct. You still got to cook it.
You actually have to go and do it.
Correct. And I'm 100% with that. You know, it's one of the a great example of that is, you know, when I started cooking 20 years ago. The very first cook-off that I ever went to, you know, I thought it was a drinking contest. I had no clue that you were supposed to turn food in, you know, and I was very successful at the drinking side. I was terrible at the cooking side, and it took me a long time to really understand that, you know, you have to decide. Is this you know, do you want to be successful in this, or do you want to be popular in this? And it's kind of like a high school thing. You know, you want to be the cool kid, or you want to be the brainy kid that, you know, that gets all the accolades and awards. And it took me a long time to figure out that I wanted to be the brainy kid, you know, and I wanted to try to start getting return on investment and, you know, that type of deal, and quit having parties and start being serious on the deal. And honestly, it probably took me 5 years before I figured that out. As I continued on in life, and, you know, and I would take every second that I could to go compete and, you know, all this other stuff, I have a young son who also competes as well. Ty now, he's 17.
And doing he does
really
very well.
I got him kind of interested and involved at a young age. You know, he was probably right before he turned about 9 years old. He started kind of helping me more, and it was a cool thing to hang out with Dad. And then eventually, when he got about, you know, 10, 11 years old, we actually got him more involved in cooking and cooking on his own, and, you know, and it came down to, you know, it was just you know, I'll tell you what I do, you replicate it. And then he was able to put his own twists on it. And then he became very successful on his own, just cooking IBCA contests. And right after that, he had an experience where he got to go cook on Food Network for Kids Barbecue Championships.
Oh, wow.
And did really well on that show. And then that kind of launched his little deal. And now he goes on. He only cooks SCAs now. And like I said, he's become a very successful cooker now, even at 17 years old. And again, you know, he had first place wild game at Memphis in May last year. You know, he did, you know, one of the top cookers in World Foods, you know, this past year at World Food Championships in SCA. He finished 7th overall out of 200 cooks, you know. So again, like I said, you know, this is very much a family organization, whether you're blood or not. You know, everyone really takes all the time and energy, and, you know, and really tries to instill this. Because again, I've always said that if we skip a generation, this will all be lost.
Yeah.
And y'all are kind of, as far as the Australian market right now, or New Zealand, or, you know, anywhere overseas right now, it's always been a thing. But now it's starting to get a little bit more serious, and getting, you know, more people are getting interested. I think that, honestly, I think that y'all are in the infancy of the barbecue movement, you know, up there, you know. And again, it's kind of like this organization. We've gone through, we've made our mistakes, we've done everything else, and now it's very easy for someone to get online one day and decide that they want to be a competition cook and be able to succeed, because all the information's there. You just got to go find it.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you come here, You just leave the computer at home, and it's real life. You just grab someone, you go, oh, I've always wanted to learn how you do this. I've watched your YouTube video. I've watched, I've always been interested in your seasoning, or I've been buying your seasoning for years. I don't know how to use it. So this is your opportunity. You get in front of these people, you can get any answer in the world, and or you can get nothing. It's up to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's up to the individual. You can come to a conference and be a wallflower,
right?
Or you can get in there and mix it up with the rest of them.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of all things internet,
yep,
blowing up the socials on the B&B pages at the moment is this rig, this monster truck and trailer that you got set up here.
Yep.
Tell me about the truck. What is that exactly?
So the truck that I currently drive right now, I've got a couple different trucks, but this particular truck right here, this is a Chevrolet Kodiak. It's a 4500, so they actually call it a medium duty truck, and really and truly, it's a step under a semi. It's really what it is. And but this particular truck is super comfortable. It's a really safe vehicle for what I do. We did 100,000 miles last year. And usually we're loaded down pretty good. The trailer that I'm pulling behind this one right now is a 28-foot triple axle trailer. Wow. And it's just, the capability of this is incredible. I can on this particular trip I brought up 3 pallets of product. On some events, I'll put 8 pallets of product in here.
Wow.
And so again, like I said, we have several different vehicles that we use for several different events. But this is the one this is our rolling billboard. The truck's very functional. It's just obnoxious enough that people really notice it. But it's a beautiful combination going down the road.
Yeah, I think when you got trailers this size, you want to be driving the trailer, not have the trailer be driving you.
You're exactly right. In most of the conditions that we go to, we're driving downtown New York or downtown Chicago or downtown Kansas City. That's not what this vehicle was built for, but at the end of the day, it's very easy to maneuver, and again, like I said, it's super safe.
Yeah, definitely. Now, mate, before I let you go, because there is a site inspection guy coming around, I did just see him whip past.
Perfect.
What would be your 3 top tips for people that are designing their trailers? And I'm asking because in Australia at the moment, there's a new trend. People are starting to move towards trailers. So,
correct.
3 top tips for trailers.
Sure. I think that right now, when you look at trailers, and we've got a variety of different trailers that we have at home, everything from bumper pulls to goosenecks to, fully enclosed trailers to porch trailers. You have to find the one that's the right function for you. And, not everyone, I think, is going to have the ability to have 15 trailers at the house. But, you have to find one that's going to work. What is at the end game? Are you cooking only SCAs? Can you walk in a little side cargo door and just bring your pit in? Are you going to be doing a lot of overnight cooks? Do you need to try to focus on sleeping overnight and accommodating? Do you have kids? Do we have to keep the kids entertained while we're doing our events? Our TV's important. What creature comforts do you need? And then also at the same time, what is your end goal? Do we need to be pushing pits, and do we have the capability of pushing pits in and out of the trailer? It's funny because now in Texas we have guys who've got jambos and we have all this other stuff, and they have a trailer for the trailer. They have a trailer pit that they winch up into the trailer, because again, they spend a lot of money on jambos. They want to keep them beautiful, but again, it's a trailer in a trailer. Is that necessary? I don't know.
It is kind of Knight Rider cool though. But
exactly. And it's kind of like the Russian doll thing. You just go, hold on. But again, like I said, nowadays, for us, especially in the Texas area where I'm originally from, or where I'm from now, is you got guys who can go cook a whole contest on 3 barrels, and or you have a guy who's putting that jambo in your trailer, or whatever. It's your equipment. Figure out what works for your equipment. Figure out what makes mama happy, if that's a factor. If she's not happy, no one's happy. But at the other aspect of it is, look at the vehicle that you have. Make sure the vehicle that you have is capable to pull your dream pit. or your dream trailer or your dream whatever.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, you know, you may be going to a barbecue contest today, you may be moving your mother-in-law next week, and your neighbors may not appreciate that in your yard either. So again, like I said, bigger's not always better. You know, functionality is like key, and you know, being able to move the vehicle safely from point A to point B is probably one of the most crucial things at all.
Beautiful. Well, look, man, thanks very much for your time.
Yep.
Thanks for being part of the
Thank you.
of the NBBQA, of the SCA, and thanks for your contribution to the scene as a whole.
Hey, thank you for making the trip down here. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, have a good day.
Cheers.
Got a project you'd like to work on with the SHC team? Shoot Ben an email on ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation.
If you want good barbecue, you need good charcoal. And when it comes to charcoal, the denser the wood, the better the charcoal. This is where Dragon's Breath charcoal comes in. It's made from Australian native Gidgee, famous for being the third most dense wood in the world, which means you're going to get 100% quality 100% of the time. The manufacture of Dragon's Breath charcoal was founded in 2005 and is the largest charcoal manufacturer in Queensland. A company founded in firm principles and values, the manufacturers of Dragon's Breath seek out opportunities to serve the community, starting with their work in the environmental restoration of southwest Queensland sheep and cattle stations. Over the years, they've developed dietary charcoal products for livestock and horses and pets. And now there's garden and agricultural soil products that help keep moisture in the soil while it takes CO2 out of the atmosphere. Dragon's Breath charcoal will be launching on Amazon in October, so stay tuned for more info soon. Hey folks, Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here. We're at day 2 of the NBBQA Conference. We're rounding out the end of the day. We've just finished the last session. But I've got a barbecue-loving YouTuber here for us to talk to, try and get some tips on the social media and on the YouTube. This is Joey from Red Meat Lover. Man, how you going?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be here talking to you and really enjoying this conference. You know, at Red Meat Lover, we operate a YouTube channel, as you mentioned, as well as a website, and our focus is cooking meat made easy, plain and simple.
Love it, mate. Love it. So what kind of recipes do you do? Are you, I mean, you've said red meat. Do you stray into game and buffalo or just straight beef and pork?
That's a great question. Red meat is just sort of a catch-all. We've kind of focused on, you know, mainly beef and pork, but if you take a close look at our logo, you can see a little chicken hiding right inside. So we cover it all, occasionally do some seafood. Really what it is, what we're focused on is just educating others about some of the same questions we had when we initially started cooking proteins.
Speaking of questions and getting those answers, what is it that's brought you to the conference?
Well, a meeting with Rockwood Charcoal. They're also based in St. Louis. I reached out to him because that's where I live. And he told me about this conference, and my first reaction was like, no way, there's a barbecue conference? And it was 2 weeks away and about 3 hours away from St. Louis, so couldn't pass that opportunity up to be here, and I'm just really glad that I did. So many great people here. Sharing tips, tricks, ideas, best practices all across the industry, from marketing to cooking. It's a great event.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying the range of people that I've met. So a YouTuber, I interviewed the guy from Rockwood Charcoal. I've interviewed Joey from B&B. I've met with butchers, caterers, restaurateurs. You got the whole gambit here. It's just incredible.
Absolutely. Just sharing ideas. Everyone's so personable. Open to sharing and giving feedback, and it's just been a really terrific event. I'll be back next year.
Yeah, me too, for sure. Now, tell me about Red Meat Lover. How did you get started in that?
Great question. It all really started in college, the idea when I was forced to cook for myself for the very first time. And after I got tired of eating ramen noodles for about 2 or 3 months, I decided I'd head to the grocery store and take a look at...
You lasted 2 or 3 months eating nothing but ramen?
You know... When you're 20 to 21, it's a ramen and beer, you know. It was a good combination. But headed on down to the grocery store and took a look at the meat display and was immediately confused. I couldn't tell the difference between sirloin steak from flank steak to brisket. So I just started buying different cuts, messed up a lot of them, found some successes, and after graduating from college and really barbecuing with my friends on the weekend, living that bachelor lifestyle, we all kind of realized we all had the same questions. And we thought we would start a website as kind of where we started to answer some of those common questions we all have.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. So what is it do you think about barbecue and YouTube or video in general, the video medium, that works so well together?
Well, it's the old adage, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So what's a video worth? A bunch of
thousands of pictures, yeah.
Yeah, millions of words, basically. And YouTube is the second largest search engine utilized in the world. So right after Google, if they're not finding their answers on Google, they're finding it right over on YouTube. So it's just a database of information. Everyone from amateurs to pros who are out there, sharing what they've learned, where they've made mistakes, and helping others, avoid some of those mistakes. And that's, what we try to do as well.
Cool. So break it down for me. For those of us who don't have a YouTube channel yet, how do I get started?
Well, in its simplest form, you just need an iPhone. We wanted to, in addition to offering quality content, we wanted to create really high quality videos that were engaging. Sort of what we try to do with our videos is deliver on education, inspiration, as in one is inspired to try this at home, and sprinkle in a little bit of humor in there as well. So that's kind of our recipe that we follow, pun intended.
Nicely done. I did notice that. Well done.
I'm very fortunate in that I have a business partner who's also very passionate about what we do and is also really good behind the camera. But I think for me, it really just started with cooking what I already knew and had been making in my own kitchen for the last decade.
So I take it that it helps then if you've got a second person to hold the camera rather than try and set it up on a tripod, do something, run around, move the tripod.
Absolutely. I find that having, a professional behind the camera, someone who's well-versed with the intricacies of operating and editing, which, takes a ton of time as well to do right. I don't have the patience for that. Luckily, he does. But then I also find I do a lot of public speaking, so with that background, I realized that having a good script, literally knowing what you're going to say, is that when people are taking time out of their busy lives, that you're giving them something valuable, that's straightforward. We really strive for something in the neighborhood of 7 to 10 minutes, something that can be digested fairly quickly, and it tries to hit on all the important points. So that script, knowing what you're going to say, is also really important. And wherever I mess up, that's where good editing comes in.
Yes, I love the power of editing. So we've got our smartphone, because you can do it on an Android or an iPhone. We've got a buddy to help record it.
Yep.
We've opened an account on YouTube. What are some tips and tricks for uploading the video and sort of tricking the algorithms to force that video out to the public? How do I get people to see it? Because there's so many countless hours of YouTube uploaded every minute. How do we make ours into the search results?
That's a great question. I'll get to that question, but I left out something that's important as it relates to creating YouTube videos, and you're holding it right in your hand. It's a microphone. So important versus it gives a crisper, cleaner sound. So I wanted to mention that, but I guess back to your question, you need to kind of know a little bit about what people are looking for. It's one thing to put out there what's in your heart, but it's no good if no one can find it or if no one's using it. So at a broad level, just see what other videos are out there and working. Of course, you never want to take anyone else's title or anything like that. But if there are certain keywords that you are finding within the high-ranking, high-performing videos, that's really important. There's also, when you upload a video, the public doesn't see it on YouTube, but there's a place to add tags, which is like keywords that, as far as I know, YouTube and Google, that kind of helps, optimizing those keywords allows your video to be found more quickly. Of course, we're still learning. YouTube does not put out a publication of a how-to.
There is no manual.
No. So it's other creators like us who are just trying to figure it out and who are within those communities of other like-minded people who are sharing their success stories. We're just now beginning to experiment with 4K. We've noticed and we've heard from some others that 4K videos tend to perform a little bit better.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're entering season 3 of our program. We've done about 36 videos. I'm sorry, season 4. We've done about 36 videos, so we're going to season 4. And there's been a lot of trial and error. Some of my very best videos, some of my very favorite recipes are the ones that don't perform as well because they're just not being widely searched for. So if you can answer the questions that people are looking for, do that in an impactful, meaningful way with high quality, I think that all really helps. But we're still kind of figuring it out like everyone else is too.
Now, just on a technical side of things, with other apps and other programs and things, if you're uploading from the phone, there's often less menu options and things than doing it from a desktop. Is it important to upload the video from a desktop versus a mobile, or can you do it from any device?
We've only uploaded from a computer, or a desktop. So we have not even attempted to upload from a telephone. We overlay music, and so we do all that with software, which we don't have. I mean, if it's on the phones, I don't know about it. Not really my end of the project, but yeah, we upload all from desktop.
Okay, yeah, cool. Because I'm not sure, because I'm a desktop guy as well when I upload videos. I'm pretty sure you can't add tags from a mobile.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
I'm 90% sure of that. Yeah.
But adding tags, using keywords, I feel like I'm missing something out. I'm sure it will come to me later, but again, just delivering on that. Oh, the like ratios. It's really important. YouTube, it's one of the many factors in their algorithm. It kind of just goes towards engagement, which comments go towards that. So we try to really, we don't want to just put out a video and then not respond to any of the comments. We try to address the ones that have praise as well as the ones that have criticism as well. Just stay engaged with our audience. Ultimately, what we want to do is create a community where people can come, find the answers, share feedback on what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, and add value to, again, our community.
Yeah, and engagement is actually a key point for any social media platform. So if someone leaves a comment on one of your posts, reply to it. Like the comment and reply to it all the time. It tricks those algorithms, so it trips the algorithms. We don't want to trick them because then they'll change the rules on us and we all have to go back to the start and learn again. It trips the algorithms, and then your stuff's going to get seen by more people. So, man, I think it's beer o'clock. I'm obviously in desperate need of a cold beer.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
It's my pleasure, and look forward to seeing you again at future events, man. It's been a pleasure.
Definitely. Hey, folks, Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here. We have wrapped up day 2 here at the NBBQA Conference. The sun has come out. We got the blue skies finally. It was looking a bit dicey for tonight's, what's it called, the fire party thing happening tonight. Sorry, Saffron, I forgot the name. I'm sorry. We have it. Hold on.
Night of Fire.
Night of Fire. There we go. So we've got good weather for the Night of Fire. And with me right now, before we go across the street, I've got James from the Cucamonga Cattle Company. Mate, how have you been enjoying the... are you laughing at my pronunciation?
No, it's good.
Oh, it was good? All right, cool. How have you been enjoying the conference?
It's been a real blast. This is my 8th year coming.
Really?
Yeah. So it's been nice to see the evolution of how things ebb and flow. But it's been a really good conference, learning a lot, connecting with old friends and seeing the new things that are coming along is pretty cool. I'm meeting you. We haven't met you before, so that's always cool to meet new people.
Yeah, definitely. So what is it then that keeps bringing you back year after year?
The connections that you make. I can meet people here that I don't get to meet in California. Coming back here, you meet, the old school barbecue guys, the guys from Mississippi and the Carolinas, and they don't get out to California. So it's nice that I can come out and get to them and make those conversations, make those connections. And, I do rubs and sauces. That's my barbecue contribution to life. And being able to connect to those guys and see what they're doing, see how their businesses are going, and see if they need any rub. It's always nice to be able to make those connections, because I can't do that at home. There's just not that many people there doing it.
So if my geography serves me well, which it doesn't always, you're pretty much meeting in the middle here.
Pretty much, yeah.
If you're from California and they're from Carolinas?
Yeah, this is just about the middle of the country. The Great Plains, right here in Kansas and Missouri, not Missouri.
I have noticed that.
Yeah, it's Missouri. I did not know that. I'm from California, which is California, not California. So yeah, it's Missouri and Kansas right here. I mean, right across the river is Kansas, and then we're in Missouri here. So you got that going for you. Yeah, it's right in the middle. I think that's why they picked this one this year. Everybody was going to Texas. We've been to Texas. We've been to Florida. We've been to Tennessee, Alabama. So we're getting around. So it was just nice. I think just to get back into the heartland and in this area, Kansas City. It doesn't get more barbecue than that,
No, they were telling us on I think it was Wednesday. They were giving us a bit of the history of this area, and I mean this really is like the heart of the cattle area from the frontier times.
Yeah, it's where it all started. Name of my company, Cucamonga Cattle Company. That's the epitome of that. This is the reason barbecue was here. The cows were here, the shipping was here, the people were here. Perfect storm,
Yeah. So tell me about your rubs and sauces.
Right now, I have 3 rubs. Your basic chicken, pork, and beef. Started out as with the 1 rub 10 years ago. People liked it a lot. I formulated it for tri-tip, California tri-tip. That's what we do. But it's the Santa Maria style. Onion, garlic, pepper, maybe a little something. And got tired of it. I wanted something just a little different.
Okay.
So being a barbecue guy at that point, I was like, let's see what I can come up with. Came up with my Trail Boss rub, keeping in form with the Cucamonga Cattle Company. And the Trail Boss gives that barbecue flavor to a tri-tip that you wouldn't normally get cooking a tri-tip the way you do. It's a hot and fast kind of thing.
It is, yeah.
You want a medium rare tri-tip. You don't want to cook it to death.
No.
It's a steak. So having that flavor in that context without having to go for 18 hours. And it worked really well. I started catering and doing things, and after about 5,000 tri-tip and 2 tons of rub, my wife said, you really should sell that stuff. So
she waited until you'd done 5,000 before she said it was time to...
Well, I lost my job. And it was like, well, you do that, why don't you just do that? And that's how Cucamonga Cattle Company was born. So I started bottling it into my garage and making it by 25-pound batches, and started selling it. People started buying it. Ended up where we got into a store. Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then got to the point where we couldn't make enough, so we found a co-packer in Tennessee. No, not Tennessee. In Memphis. So yeah, it is Tennessee. And they started packaging for us, and we started selling more. And you have an actual package now instead of just my label and getting that stuff done. We developed a new one a few years later. I just stayed with that one for a long time, just trying to figure out the groundwork and rules of labeling and packaging and business stuff. Not being a business person, I'm an ex-recording engineer, so it's not the same thing. And doing that, came out with the chicken rub, Prairie Dust, cook off like gangbusters. People love it.
Oh,
and
fantastic!
It's just I was just really surprised because it came about as an idea of like a smell that I had, like hence Prairie Dust. It was like, that'd be neat in a rub, kind of a thing. Put my head together, and in about 2 hours, I came up with this one.
Really?
I had the idea. I know the flavors. You get to the point when you're playing with spices all the time of what things taste like, what things need to go which way. And then and probably another couple years later, just plugging away with these 2, adding a few more stores, adding a couple more stores here, a couple more there. Came up with the third one for pork. Have been doing really well with that one. That one has been really popular, so I'm just pleased that people like them. That's one of the hardest things is making something that people like and not just say, it's hard, you don't get a lot of feedbacks. You know how it's when you give something a taste to somebody and they'll be like, oh, that's good, I like that. And then they'll walk away spitting, you know. They don't want to be rude to you, but this is one of those things where people actually do like it. We had a competition in California where a friend of mine who does competitions used my double barrel on his pulled pork exclusively, just that. We didn't inject, we didn't do anything, we just used the double barrel on it. Turned it in, we got 4th place.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it was just really nice to see that and know that, okay, I can do that.
So can you describe what the prairie dust sort of tastes like?
It's really herby. It's got sage and thyme, rosemary, kind of like Meathead's, what does he call it? Simon and Garfunkel kind of a thing. You know, rosemary, sage, and thyme,
okay.
But there's more in it. There's some celery, there's salt, pepper, you know, all the things. But the ratios of what's in there allow it to, you know, it's just got that, you smell it and it's just like, wow.
So it's kind of like a home-style traditional flavor-ish in a competition-style rub.
Well, it's not really competition style. I make these things for everyday use. This is stuff I use every day.
Gotcha.
I cook. The prairie dust works great on vegetables and chicken and whatever I decide to put it on. You know, no matter what I'm cooking, I always grab those 3 things to see what it's going to do, just because I know a guy. But to see what it does work on, and I'm really pushing it toward just people who cook, so that they can have that in their repertoire. Because it's one of those things where when I make it for people, they're like, wow, what is that? And then they're surprised to find out it's one of my rubs, because they didn't think it went that way. Because it's, you know, depending on what you're cooking, those things will lend themselves to where you're going.
And different flavors will come out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily taste like barbecue, so people are surprised. You know, it's like if I mix some of the Trail Boss into some meatloaf. You know, I don't coat the whole thing like I would a pork butt or something like that, but just mix it into the meat a little bit. There's just that little flavor that you get when you take a bite. It's like, what is that? You know, I hear angels. What is that? And so it's just that kind of a thing, you know, where it enhances what you're doing. And that's one of the nice things about these rubs is that when I set out to make them, I wanted to make sure you could still taste what you cooked. The proteins that you're cooking, you can still taste the pork, you can still taste the beef, you can still taste the chicken without overpowering it. You know, there's a lot of things out there, you can just dump it on there and you know, that's all you get. I'm proud of the Trail Boss. You can use as much or as little of that as you want, and it will not kill the beef. I mean, I had a friend of mine, he just packs it on a tri-tip. I mean, it's got a crust before he even puts it on anything. It's like you can see chunks falling off, and he'll
puts it on with a trowel.
Exactly. If he could figure out a way, you know, it'd be like encased and crusted before he even gets it on. He puts it on the grill, and you're expecting this stuff to just burn up, and you know it's going to taste like crap. It's just, this is not going to be good. What doesn't need to be there goes away.
Interesting.
And it's the weirdest thing. And if you just put a light sprinkling on there, it's like, oh. Like I said before, it's just that little bit in the background, and you're like, wow, that's really nice. I could eat that. So, and I sound biased, but I'm always surprised. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I made it. It should be good.
Yeah. Well, I made my son. He's constantly surprising me.
This is the first year my son has come to the conference with me in 8 years. He's old enough to do it. He's not in school, so I didn't have to take him out of school to do it because you can't do that anymore. And he's having a great time. You know, he could care less what I'm doing. He's got his own thing going on. He's off running around, meeting people, talking to people, eating food. So it's just great to have him here and see that he's, you know, he's a good kid. I just can't help it. So,
awesome.
Papa moment.
Yeah, awesome. Now, before I let you go, so you're from California. You've done a lot of tri-tip. Can you run me through the best way to cook a California-style tri-tip?
Get your seasoning on there. You know, you should. I trim all the fat off of mine, except for if there's a big fat cap on the backside, if you leave maybe a 1/4 inch like you would on a brisket or something like that, just to have some safety there. But that fat will render really nice and crisp up, and it has a really nice texture when you get it sliced. It's that little bit of fat on there is nice.
Nice.
But get your rub on there, or whatever you're gonna do. You don't even have to rub it. You can just do salt and pepper on it. If you're going traditional salt, pepper, garlic, that's fine. Get it on the grill. Have it on there maybe 3 minutes and rotate it. Get some good grill marks on it. Mm-hmm. That crispy, crusty stuff on the outside is what makes it. Because you're not going to cook it solid all the way through. Where you're going to want a medium rare in the middle, so it's just a little pink when it's rested.
Yep.
You slice that bad boy up nice and thin. A lot of people cut it really thick. They'll cut it, 1/2 inch thick. I cut it like I'm making sandwiches, nice and thin, okay. And it falls apart. Because tri-tip can be tough. If it's for thick, you're just chewing. It's like chewing an eraser. But if you cut it thin and you've still got that nice crust on the outside, it's a beautiful thing, man. You put it in your mouth, it melts. You get that crust, you get the flavor, and it melts, and you're ready for the next piece. And that's the way I do it.
So is that sort of at a high temperature, like an SCA steak, sort of 500 degrees Fahrenheit type temperature?
I do about 400. That way, it gives it a little more. It's a thick piece of meat, so you want to get some heat in there so it'll get through. And you can always, once you get your crust on there, you can turn your heat down or move it to a slower side of the heat. Just let it sit there for a little while, but make sure you're probing it and get it to the temperature that you want. 130 for a rare, medium rare. That'll get you there. So you got to carry over them when you take it off, and there you go. Make sure you're slicing it against the grain, and it has that. It's shaped kind of like that.
Yep.
So I found if I start cutting on the point like that, I can cut strips all the way along and not have to turn it.
Ah.
If you cut it at this angle, just starting on this end, I can go all the way across and it'll be against the grain the whole way.
Ah, fantastic. So season first, 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 3 minutes each side. Possibly leave it for a little bit of indirect heat if it's not quite there yet, until 1:30.
You want to rotate it 3 minutes, rotate it 3 minutes, then over. So it's like 6 minutes.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. And then a little bit of indirect time if it's not quite at 130 yet.
Get it up to temp. That's simple.
And then let it rest for minimum 10 minutes?
5-10 minutes, yeah. You don't need to let it go too long.
Beautiful. Well, mate, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for telling me all about Cucamonga Cattle Company and Tri-Tip and all the rest of that. It was great stuff.
Great being here.
Hey folks, it's Ben from Smoking Hot Confessions here. We've just wrapped up day 2 of the NBBQA conference, and I've got with me
Mikey from NBBQA. What's up, buddy? I'm glad we could wrap up day 2 this way. This is the kind of the end of the day, pretty much the end of the conference. We've got to meet, which was fantastic, and then we're gonna go see a steak cook-off in about a second. So I'm excited about that. What did you think of day 2?
Mate, I thought it was really good. I thought that the opening plenary speaker this morning, Larry, excuse my notes, Larry Wingett. He was hilarious.
He didn't wing it, which was fantastic.
Yes, he did not wing it.
He came in with a good speech.
Yeah.
He was great. I really enjoyed the Kids Q class. I don't know if you got to that one. I don't believe you were in that room. But it was a very, very cool thing talking about how kind of the future of barbecue, the kids that are doing stuff, getting your kids involved, and then that the high school barbecue teams, I think are really cool. I may have gone to class more.
Yeah, I was delayed because a couple of my interviews got pushed back, and so I just ducked in for about 5 or 10 minutes to grab some photos and ducked back out again.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were in there for a second.
Did I hear them say that high school barbecue teams are now bigger than high school football teams?
Correct.
Wow.
So there's some high school in Texas, guys. There's a couple small towns in Texas where football's everything. I mean, football's everything in Texas. So, but they're getting more kids that are wanting to go out for the barbecue team, and because they're making pits, they're welding pits, and they're putting them together.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they're going out and learning how to cook on them, which is fantastic because most of the kids these days can't boil water. They're like, how do I cook? How do I cook pasta? You know what I mean? And they're learning how to cook protein, how to do all this awesome stuff. And then not only are they doing that, they're starting to compete against each other in a fun, loving, no beer way. Which I'm not sure how that works, but
is that even possible?
Apparently it is. But they're saying that the kids are really, really getting excited about it to where they sent out a story about a barbecue team, right? and that got more shares than the football team's stuff did, ever.
Did I hear it right? It's been shared something like 9,000 times.
Yes.
Like the post has actually gone viral.
Yeah,
that
and
is phenomenal.
Two different towns got 2 different posts that went viral, and they were all like, "Well, the football team's never had that many shares."
I'll bet that went down real well.
Oh no, apparently they weren't super excited about that. But it was a lot of fun being able to see what they're doing. I believe it's just highschoolbarbecue.com. I think that's the website. And it's very simple. And I'm sure if you just type in like Texas high school barbecue, I'm sure it'll come up on Google or whatever. But it was just very cool what they're giving back to that community. Because he's the culinary teacher, so he's like, I got to teach barbecue anyways. Let's make it fun.
Yeah, and it's a good opportunity too for different departments within the high school to come together. So you've got your shop teachers teaching the welding how to make the smokers.
Exactly.
Which personally, that's phenomenal in and of itself. I mean, if these kids are able to build their own smokers, I mean, that's so good straight off the bat.
What better way to learn how to build a proper smoker than to know what it needs to do, how to cook on it, and where the airflow should be going, how to tweak it. You get a smoker at home, you start playing with it, and then you're like, well, if I had a baffle here, if I did this here, if I did that here. And these kids are getting that knowledge to say, like, I'm going to build you a smoker that you don't have to tweak.
Yeah.
Because I know how to cook on it.
Yeah.
I don't only know how to weld, which is another skill that they could take anywhere else in the world, but I can also cook on something. It's just, I think it's like win-win in every direction.
Well, welding and fabrication is a whole industry and a whole career in and of itself.
Exactly.
Then you've got the cooking side of things, which is an industry and a career in and all of itself. Correct. And so it's just a fantastic learning opportunity for those kids.
Yeah, I think it's expanding. Like it's making them expand their minds, and they're saying that they're getting more kids that want to do that than anything else. That they're just really gravitating towards it. And some of the high schools don't have money to do it, so they're basically saying, like, here's $500 if you guys can raise it. Here's we'll buy you a cheap barbecue pit or whatever, and if you can make some money off of it. And they're going to different charity places. They're going to churches and doing cooks for the church to raise money so that they can go and build this program. I don't know about you, but I've never seen a kid go, I really want to learn how to do math. Let's go out and raise money for the math department. Very few kids do that.
Yeah.
Or like, I really, really love my English department. Or, you know what I mean? My reading department or whatever. Let's go learn that. Let's go learn that. Let's go learn that. It's usually like, the football team needs stuff, so what do? And
you cut from the arts, man. You cut the music program. You cut the drama program.
Right? And the weird thing to them is usually everything gets cut for football. But football's not doing as well as barbecue.
That's really cool. Really interesting stuff.
We're taking over the world.
Yeah.
One barbecue at a time. The other thing I thought was awesome yesterday was the Meet the Masters. Hearing Junior's story from Up in Smoke. I mean, that guy is just so humble and so fantastic. And he's just an amazing human. I really do. He's just such a great dude. Being able to connect with him was fantastic. Myron was up there just like a cup of sunshine.
Sarcasm.
he tells it how it is. You know what I mean? He doesn't sugarcoat things.
Yeah, look,
and I think people need that.
That was the first time that I'd seen Myron in person, and I was expecting him to, sort of be up on a soapbox and this is great and it's wonderful and I can do it, you can do it, and rah rah. And he wasn't like that. He was really relatable. He was really straight down the line, and he said, look, this is not as easy as just, I'm going to put a trailer out in my yard and people are going to come and eat it and I'm going to make $1 million.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is what's going to be your problems. You're going to have this. Then when you fix them, then you got to think about this, and this.
Then the whole other list of problems rolls out, right? Where it's, what do we do for this? What do we do for that? And it's just a whole nother list of problems. And that's what I think is insane, that a lot of people don't want to touch upon. And I try to do it like when I talk to people, and I get a lot of influence of people saying, hey, I want to ask you this question. You know, you're going into catering, you're doing this, you do pop-ups. What's your struggles? And I tell them, I go, you know, this is the cost of doing it. I don't know if I'm going to make that money back. I'm going out there and putting myself out there hoping that I will and the food's good enough, but you never know.
Yeah.
And Myron even said that, because I believe there was one gentleman that asked, you know, should I be vending, should I not? And Myron's like, well, it depends. You got to look at, there's so many factors that people don't think about. And unfortunately, we were talking about this earlier, is promoters lie to you. You know, they tell you it's going to be X amount of people, make sure you cook for so many servings, but then they're trying to cover their ass too. And it just becomes a lose-lose for everyone almost.
Yeah. I know completely what you're talking about. I went to a festival last year where the previous year the vendors had run out of food, so the promoter booked twice the number of vendors.
Exactly.
He said, we're going to have 10,000 people a day through the gates, and made them each bring, I forget what the minimum number of serves were, and then turned around and did a people's choice. And so the competitive teams were cooking whole hogs, serving whole hogs. So of course the public are drawn to that, away from the vendors.
Yep.
And I had to personally help one guy tip $4.5 grand worth of pork ribs into the bin.
Which is just horrible. It's so sad, because you're throwing away food that people could eat. And I think that's what Myron was really talking about too, being like, can you take that hit?
Yeah.
Because
can you afford the gamble, really?
Well, yeah, exactly. Because can you take that hit and still cook tomorrow? Because some people are cooking today's food to pay for tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And and that's how they're making money. They're making very small profits. In the restaurant industry, dude, we skate on small, tiny profits.
Yeah.
People don't get it. They're like, well, they're making money. No, I'm making like 30 cents on something that costs you $10. So you think about how much money I have into it. And then we talked about the rubs, and they talked about all that other stuff. And I thought it was really, really cool how they didn't really sugarcoat anything. They told the truth. Myron Jr. and Skip Stretch were just, they were just fantastic dudes giving real, honest advice.
What I found too, particularly about Junior and I think it was Stretch that was talking about it, was they were talking about how everyone wants to get into a big box store. Everyone wants to get their rubs, get their sauces into the supermarkets.
Myron talked about that too, yeah.
They want to be in Walmart, and how, whilst that may sound all wonderful and fantastic, that can actually undo you.
It can, and that's one of the things that people don't look at. If I make $1 million, they're like, oh my God, they made $1 million. But it cost them $999,000, to make that $1 million. Was it worth it? I don't know. Because you're churning product like crazy. And it's like, you're making so little. For some people, that makes sense. And like Myron said, but what happens when the big box drops you and says, you know what, next season, we don't want you. But you had to push away all your other small mom and pop shops
to sign that exclusive contract with them.
Because I know some people don't get it. You go to a big box store, they will look at you and they'll say, I need X amount of cases by X date. You can't deliver,
you're done.
Oh, well, guess what? There's somebody over there that will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what they do. And I think day two, as a wrap up, we had a lot of good business parts of it, and a lot of good business truths that most people are scared to say.
Yeah. That was fascinating to really have that curtain pulled back and just see what it's like. For me, I think that the most practical thing that I saw in terms of like literally hands-on, I'm terrible with people's names at this point. This is day 3 of the conference. It was the fabrication, demonstration, and barbecue innovative meat cuts pork with Jim Murray from the National Pork Board and Charlie Torgerson from Charlie T's Foods.
Yeah, I did miss that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, they had a whole side of
I was at the bar.
they had like a whole half pig.
And they broke her down.
And they broke it down piece by piece. And then as they extracted the big muscles, like the whole shoulder,
the shoulders, all that stuff,
they then broke down the shoulder into each of the individual muscles. So for me, that was fascinating, just to see them do that with just a knife and a hacksaw.
Yeah.
And just see exactly where all these meats come from. And he could say, look, this one is more expensive because it's tender, because you can see it's up here, it's protected by everything up under here. So for me, that was really fascinating to see something so hands-on. Which
led to I had a very fun conversation with two of the members that were here today. I believe it was the meat stick guy. That sounds worse.
Yes,
than it
yes,
is.
he's an interesting guy.
I promise it's not as dirty as it sounds. He has a fantastic thermometer that you put in, and it works. I believe it works Wi-Fi, correct? If I'm not wrong, or is it
both.
Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you can choose one or the other.
Which Wi-Fi all day long over Bluetooth,
absolutely.
because you walk 10 feet away and then you lose it, and it's insane. But what I do really like, me and him had a conversation about beef right after that. I think it was right after that class, because he took that class and he was talking about pork, and I was talking about beef, and I was like, you got to look at the way that it hangs on the hanger, all this stuff, and like we were breaking all this stuff down, and he's like, you're really a nerd, aren't you? And I'm like, absolutely. I'm like, I'm just a meat nerd, and it's not my fault. And he's like, no, but it's so fun to watch you and listen to you talk. And I think that's one of the fun things that this conference has really allowed me to be.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about us, like as podcasters in the media and stuff. If we're not actually out cooking ourselves, then we're sitting inside on a computer and we're editing podcasts of conversations talking about cooking and
But I think it also helps that I've talked to so many people in the last 4 years. I've been doing a podcast for 4 years, and I've talked to so many people from so many different places, and I gathered so much knowledge. It's like I went to barbecue university. I've taken barbecue classes and done all that kind of stuff. I teach barbecue classes, but it's just insane how much knowledge some people lack. Like, it's so great to be able to be part of this and have that knowledge be given to people and watch other people's lights go ding.
Yeah,
like, that's the best part. Like, I'm sure during that class, some people during the pig class, they were like, "Oh, ding, that makes sense."
There are a couple of restaurateurs who were looking at, as he was breaking it down and he was explaining what you could do with the different cuts. You could see them going, "Oh, like I usually just throw that away. I could actually turn that into something and sell it."
Which is, I know this is day one, but that's like, the day one. This is from day one. This is day two.
Okay, yeah.
I'm saying from day one when we Kent Black said, all our brisket trimmings go into sausage.
Yeah.
We grind it all up and we make our sausage that way because we get about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds off each brisket. He's like, that's a lot of money to just throw away.
Yeah.
He's like, so why not repurpose it into something that's amazing that'll taste really good still? And then and then I believe it was it Kent that said it, or was it Barrett? It might have been Barrett that said it. When he said, if there's a little bit too hard of a point, anything that gets a little too crispy on the brisket, they'll cut that up and they'll put that either in their chili or they'll mix it with sauce and put it as their chopped brisket sandwich. So it's just the things that some people don't think about. Dude, you chop a point off because it's a little bit overdone. You throw away 2-3 pounds. That's you're selling it if they're selling it at $20 a pound. That's $40 to $60 every day.
Yeah.
Per brisket. I'm not saying that they burn up. They're not burning up briskets, but sometimes there's a little bit of a.
Of course.
A little bit here, a little bit there. That happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all those little shortcuts and tips and things that have been coming out. That's been so good. So we're going to head over to the steak cook-off shortly.
SCA steak cook-off, which is going to be fantastic.
So what would be your single best takeaway from the conference as a whole?
My single best takeaway is it truly is a barbecue family. Any one of these guys, will give you their phone number. Any one of these guys will talk to you. Any one of these guys will sit down with you and give their time, which is the most precious thing we have, right? And they'll give their time to help you with your problem, so that you don't make the mistakes that they did. And they paid for those. I promise you, they paid for them dearly, not only financially but time, and some of them,
the heartache and
and the just having to pursue through something like that. But these guys will literally tell you, hey, you know what? Don't go in this route. Go that route. Don't do this. Do that. I don't do this. Do that. And they will point you in the direction that you truly need to go. And I that's just a family aspect that I don't think exists in many industries. I think there's many industries that people will say, I'll help you for this much.
Yeah.
I want you to succeed, but I don't want you to beat me.
Yeah.
We're here, it's just kind of like, if you go from here to here, then we all go. You know what I mean? We all raise that bar together. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. I'd completely agree with everything that you just said. And I think for me, what has, rather than like a particular piece of information or a particular tip that I've picked up, because there's been so many, what stands out to me the most, which is new to me from a conference perspective. Like I work in education. I've been to educators' conferences, and it's just like being back in school. You've got the person up in front teaching and you're learning, and that's the goal of the conference. What I've learned here is that the people that come to the conference are the people that are passionate about helping other people.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
So
I mean, aside from who's presenting, and there's been tons of great presentations, aside from who's presenting and what they're presenting, it's worth coming to the conference, because that's where you meet the passionate people that want to help other people.
Yeah. It's that brotherhood. It's that barbecue brother and sister familyhood. You know what I mean? We're all just trying to cook barbecue for another day.
Yeah. And speaking of that brother and sisterhood, I can see out the window here, they're all across the street there getting ready for that SCA. So let's wrap this up and head over there and go eat some steaks.
Let's go cook some steaks, guys.
Yeah.
And there you have it, family. What a blast. So much wisdom from so many industry insiders. I really think that there was something for everybody in this episode. I got to give a huge shout out to all the guests on this episode. The networking opportunities at this event were priceless, so for them to have spent some of that time with me is truly an honor. Before I let you go, I want to remind you about our killer merch lineup, the Smoking Hot Confessions community on Facebook, and if you have a minute, it'd really help me out if you could subscribe, rate, and review the show. The ratings and reviews trigger the algorithms and make Apple distribute the podcast further and wider, so they are really important and very much appreciated. And that's the end of the show. Till next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.